What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I appreciate you stopping by and I hope you enjoy. So if you've been following along to my recent videos, you'll know that this is part 2 on how to become a professional football player overseas. And this video is going to be more about the contract process. So what the contract consists of, the benefits, how to negotiate those things, how much you make overseas, and those things and all the ins and outs. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoy this video and let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is duration of a contract. So a lot of people always ask me, so are you signing a 1-year contract? Is it a 2? So how it works over in Europe is they usually sign you for the duration of that season. So for where I'm going to Czech Republic, it's usually 5 to 6 months of a season. When I was in Germany, it's usually 8 to 9 months, which is it's a pretty long season. You have guaranteed 14 games. Some people play in other leagues, which like one that's called the Big Six, where you can play up to 3 extra games. Then if you make the playoffs, so it's quite a long season. But most teams usually only sign you for that season. I have heard of some people signing for multiple seasons if they already know they want to go back and they want to stay, or if the team already knows they want to keep them around. But for the most part, you're going to only be signed for that season. The next thing I want to talk about is flights. Okay, so some teams will reach out to you and say, hey, we'll do all these things for you, but we want you to pay for your flight there. And some may say they'll reimburse you when you get there, or a lot of them could say, you just pay for the flight and we'll pay for the rest. I would recommend, unless you are okay with that finding a team that will pay for your flights. Making sure that it's a round trip flight. A lot of teams will buy your one way there, and then depending on if you make playoffs or not, they will buy your return flight based off that date. And so yeah, most of the contracts that I will negotiate, I make sure that I have a round trip flight there and back, because I want to make sure I get there and I want to make sure I can get back home, and I don't want to have to spend any of my own money for that. The next thing I want to talk about is housing. So depending on the team, the league, the finances of that team, you may get a house. If you have several imports, you could share a house with maybe 4 imports. And so that's something where you may all have your own room. The way my contracts have been, the teams I've gone to usually have an apartment. And so I've shared from anywhere from 3 imports into last season, where like I said, I went with my best friend / brother to Czech Republic, and it was just us two in a 2-bedroom apartment. And so, it just kind of depends on, how all that works. This time, so I get to bring my family, it's me and my family in an apartment. So, it's awesome, pretty much like living at home, just in a different place. But so make sure that you know where you're gonna be living. A lot of times you can ask for pictures of what the apartment or house may look like. But yeah, I really liked our last apartment. It really fit us. It was a lot of room, a lot of space. Sometimes they give you just enough for what you need. The apartments and flats is what they call them over in Europe. It's a little different than what we have here. So a 2-bedroom house in the US would be 2 bedrooms and then a living room. A 2-bedroom in Europe can be the living room being a room and then your bedroom. And so sometimes though, make sure you ask questions and say, well, how many rooms are there? Because you could be sharing a room, whatever that may be. For the most part, I know you usually get a place where you'll get your own room and you'll share with another importer. The third thing I want to talk to you about is transportation. So some teams, depending on if they have a sponsorship with the company or if they have the resources to get you that, you will get a car. So you have a shared car with the other imports. If you're the only import, you get your own car, and usually you can use that to drive around. Me, myself, I love the public transportation over in Europe. It's really easy to use. Plus, I don't know if I really want to drive on the road in another country. I barely trust the drivers here, so I don't really know how they drive. They could be a little more aggressive, you never know. And so I like to just hop on the train or hop on the bus, and that's perfectly fine with me. And so usually they can get you a car, or they can get you bus ticket or a bus card or train card, whatever they may be, to get yourself around. A lot of times you can walk a lot of places. People love to walk in Europe, which I never was a fan of until I went there and I started to get a little more used to, a little more comfortable with it. But yeah, so a car, public transportation, is another benefit to make sure you discuss for that contract. Another thing you want to make sure you have on your contract is daily meals. I know a lot of teams don't always offer this, so it depends. So a lot of teams could have a sponsored restaurant. So where after games you go there for after team party, that could be your sponsored restaurant, and that would mean the imports can usually go there for 1 to 2 meals a day for free. And so that's something I think is very important to have in your contract, just because most of your money, unless you have things that you're paying for back home with that money, is going to go to food. And so when you have those 1 to 2 meals a day, that is already paid for, and then you can just buy snacks or whatever you want at home, or if you want something different, you know, it comes in handy. And so that's one thing I make sure to have, is at least 1 meal a day at a restaurant, because it comes in handy, and like I said, it saves you on money for sure. And so that's another benefit you want to make sure that you discuss. The next benefit would be insurance, making sure that they give you insurance. And so most teams will offer insurance. They know how important that is, especially when you're going and you're playing such a violent sport, and anything can happen. And so making sure you get the insurance over there. You know, my time's over there, I've had to use it a couple times, you know, nothing serious, but it comes in handy. And so making sure you have yourself covered, because injuries happen, things happen, and so you don't want to be, you know, left out to dry with no insurance and nowhere to take care of that in a foreign country. My next benefit would be a cell phone. Okay, this is something that you can negotiate. I've only had a phone once, and that was when I was in Germany, when I was in the Czech Republic. I didn't really find it necessary. You can have it if you want to contact people. Most of the time they get you internet in your home, Wi-Fi, and so then you can always just hook up to that. The tough thing is when you're walking around town, your phone usually won't work. So, you know, they have coffee shops and different restaurants and buildings that will have Wi-Fi in it. So if you go into a place, you usually can connect. But for the most part, I didn't really feel it was necessary to have a phone, but that's another thing a lot of teams will offer, or you can negotiate into a contract as well. One thing that I didn't discuss with flights that I think is huge is a visa. Okay, and so one thing is to know you can only be in Europe for 90 days. Okay, which means that if your season is longer than 3 months, then when you decide to travel back home, you'll get pulled over in customs, you can get banned from being able to come back, you know, all kinds of things that you don't want to deal with. So make sure that your team is setting it up to get you a long-term visa, so you can stay longer than that 90 days without getting in trouble, without having to, you know, be banned from the country, because you only have 90 days there, and that's within the entire year. Okay, so that's another important thing to make sure that you have in your contract. And one of the big benefits that I know everyone asks me and wants to know about is your salary. And so your salary really depends on the league that you go to, what team you go to in that league, because a lot of those teams, the money that they bring in is based off of sponsorships. Okay, so that's based off of big companies like, you know, McDonald's, or, you know, they have a car company named Skoda, you know, whatever that may be. If that team is working with somebody and they get money in from that company for advertising them with the patches all over their jerseys, you'll see a lot of that over in Europe, or on the helmet. You know, that would be how they get some of their money. So teams with more sponsors means that they have more cash flow, okay? And therefore they can pay their imports more. And so depending on where you go, I've seen anywhere from 250 euro contract offers, anywhere upwards of 1,800 or more. A lot of people are always thinking when you go over there, you're gonna make so much money. Depending on what state you live in the US, if you can manage a, you know, $1,000 to $1,500, $1,800 contract, you're actually probably making as much as, you know, maybe a lower end salary position. And when you're not paying for any of your bills there, you know, it actually is pretty good money. And then you add on top of all the benefits you're receiving and all the other assets, I think it is definitely worth it, depending on where you are in life and how serious you are about it, and you know, just how you want things to go for yourself. I don't know. But yeah, that's something that you can always negotiate. I know a lot of people who will say, hey, you can take off maybe the gym or the cell phone and just add that to my salary. You know, so those are ways to negotiate extra benefits. For me, one big thing was I'm not coming unless my family can come. And whether that's the entire time or most of the time I'm there, I want to make sure that my family can come this time, because I'm at that stage of life where it's no longer just about myself. And so I want them to be able to come and experience all that with me. And so yeah, just something to keep in mind is that if you want your salary to maybe go up a little more, maybe you can take some things out. If you don't really mind, then maybe negotiate other things that mean more to you. And the last benefit I want to talk about, and one that's really important and one of the biggest things to me, is that you get to travel other places for cheap. Okay, so once you get to Europe, it's so easy to get to different places. So it's like hopping in your car in you know, Kansas, where I'm at, and driving over Colorado, or driving over Missouri. I can go from the Czech Republic to Germany. hop on a cheap flight to Spain. You know, so these are opportunities you don't get from when you're in the US. And so being able to travel and see different things and see the world, I haven't taken advantage of that as much as I would want to in the past. But now that I'm taking my family, and my wife is like an avid, you know, travel extraordinaire, wannabe person, I don't know what you want to call her, but she wants to travel. And that's been something that she's always wanted to do, which is why this is so special to me. And so being able to do that and go over there and see different places and experience different things and in different cultures is something that is awesome, and something that, you know, no one can take away from you. It's a lifetime experience that I would advise all of you to take advantage of. So that's it, guys. I hope this video was able to help you know more about what's in the contract or how to negotiate a contract. Like I said, be open. Understand a lot of these teams can't break the bank. A lot of these teams want to offer other imports, and you may not be the only one. But also, you know your worth, think rightly of yourself, and be able to negotiate what you think you deserve, while also being conscious of that team's needs as well. But yeah, if you have any other questions, make sure to put those in the comment box down below. Add me on my Instagram and DM me if you need to. But yeah, I appreciate you guys stopping by. I hope this video helped. Make sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and come back next time. Always, everything you do it to inspire and be willing to evolve and to grow. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.